The Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
A beautiful weekend ahead. Today will top out around 80 degrees with clouds on the
Don't forget to tweet, retweet, triple check, double check, all good in the hood.
Skies, the low 57 for the Fox 10 weather.
That was the joke. That was the joke.
This report is sponsored by Pfizer.
COVID-19?
All right, guys, 10 seconds.
I booked an appointment for this season's updated COVID-19 shot designed to help protect against recent variants. Learn about a vaccine option and book your COVID-19 shot on schedulecovidvax.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
5 seconds.
Take the Points is sponsored by
All right, here we go.
Sports Marketing.
You fellas are hot.
Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome in. I'm Mike Gross alongside Jackson Groff at our usual hangout here at the CAZ Sportsbook Casino, Arizona. Loop 101 in McKellips. We're taking you up to 1 o'clock today. Come on out and say hello. I'd love to see you. Did you grab some lunch? One of the great drink specials. Awesome staff here at the Sportsbook. They'll take good care of you, and you can hang out with us while we do our show. Jackson, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's another Saturday, another weekend with no football. However, those who are watching college basketball, things are starting to heat up. Movement in conferences, which we'll talk about, the Mountain West, the SEC. And, oh, yeah, that top 16 we talked about last week looks completely different if they redid it this Saturday versus last Saturday. A lot of teams in those top 16 have lost, but that's what you love about college basketball. The madness is ensuing, and we are officially 44 days away from the Final Four here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, you're saying that top 16 list a week ago served as somewhat of a jinx, maybe?
Yeah, I always wonder when they come out with these lists, Gross. February 17th seems a little too early for me. Kind of want to see it maybe next week, a week before conference championships come out. And for example, folks, let's start out with the Midwest. Number 1, Purdue. Number 4, San Diego State. Number 3, Baylor. And number 2, Tennessee in those. And 3 of those teams lost. Purdue losing to Ohio State. San Diego State losing to Utah State, and Baylor losing at BYU, which, Gross, the only top 25 game on right now is Houston at Baylor, 2 Houston being at 11 Baylor. They're up 41-25 at half, and if it serves me correctly, Houston was a 2.5-point favorite in that one.
Absolutely correct, 2.5-point favorite. Total on that one, Jackson, according to the sheet here at the Sportsbook, 135 even. So we'll keep an eye on that one throughout the course of our show, and we'll take a look at some of the later games that pop up, like the Arizona Wildcats looking to get back to their winning ways. They host Washington today. That game is on at noon on CBS, so we'll be able to watch most of the first half while we do the second part of our show. But, yeah, absolutely. And you talk about, you mentioned San Diego State. I think a lot of people were scratching their head in terms of last week when that list came out of all the teams, San Diego State. How did they land in there relative to some of the other team? San Diego State is a 20-7 team out of the Mountain West Conference, but they're 9-5. They were 9-4 before that loss to Utah State, obviously. But this Mountain West Conference, and I know it sounds kind of self-serving because we've been talking about it for a couple weeks. There's a lot of good basketball being played in this conference, but you wonder what the impact is going to be when you look at it and you see the prognostications that say, well, you're going to have 5 out of the Mountain West: Utah State, Boise State, New Mexico, Nevada, and San Diego State, of course. Where do you cut? Where's the cut line? And if they keep beating each other up, when you look at a team that's 9-5 in the Mountain West Conference like San Diego State, how does that make you feel if you're the Pac-12 and you only get 3 teams in, and you've got a team they're going to lose again in conference play, and they might not win their conference tournament, but San Diego State is going to the tournament, the big tournament.
Yeah, and you'd even mention on that too, Colorado State. They're a team that is ranked. They're 8-6 in the division, but they're 20-7 overall. So their overall record is why they're ranked. But again, that's a team that just lost to New Mexico. The Mountain West is going to be interesting. Them alongside the Pac-12. You look at most of the bracketologies right now. Arizona, Washington State are a lock, especially after that Washington State win over Arizona. I mean, that coach, their coach, has got to be up for Coach of the Year. Their first time in the tournament since 2008. And then you got some of those bubble teams there, Gross, the Utahs, the Colorados, the Oregons that might need to make a strong push later in the season and even in the conference championship or in the conference tournament, Like you might need to see if you're Oregon, Utah, or Colorado. I think you've got to be in that quarterfinal, semifinal range to be a for sure lock in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd absolutely agree with this. Tons of college basketball talk to get to today. We'll get into the NBA. Suns, back-to-back losses on their Texas trip. They lost to the Mavericks on Thursday night, and then not so surprisingly that game. But then you followed up with a loss at the Rockets last night. Not a good look for this team right now, as, we try to figure it out. We have this conversation every week. We started it right around Christmas time. When do we worry? When are we thinking? And we landed on just as long as they're not in the play-in, we're cool, right? They started off slow. They had some injuries, chemistry, all that. That's fine. It's going to happen. It's a long season. Get yourself into the 6th spot or above, and you're going to be okay. Right now, they're in the 8th spot. They're 33-24. They, as I said, lost to the Rockets. The Rockets are better than the Rockets have been, but they're still not a playoff caliber team. And then the Mavericks are one of those teams that right around that line where you're battling to stay out of the play-in games. The Mavericks are the 6th seed right now in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back losses. Again, it's early. I'm not panicking too much with the Suns team. I think you need to be around that 4 or 5 seed line. And I saw some NBA pundits talking about how if you're the Dallas Mavericks, you want to be that 5th or 4th seed playing the Suns and what your history's been with the Phoenix Suns. But no Nurk last night, no Beal last night. The bright side is you got Bull, 27 minutes, 25 points, 11 of 17 shooting from the field. That's a bright side moving forward. Maybe a guy that creeps into the starting lineup, or maybe gets more minutes when all things are said and done. Again, a lot of pressure on Booker last night, 7 of 24. Durant, 10 of 22. When those guys aren't shooting well, it's tough to win ball games like that. But bright side, 10 turnovers. That's probably one of the best games realistically regarding turnovers that they've had. 10 is a pretty good number. When they had, I believe it was 17 against the Mavericks in their last game. But I'm not panicking, Gross. I think there's a lot of ball left to be played. And if you can just stay healthy down the stretch, I think the Suns team can make a bit of a run in the playoffs.
It's about to get real. You've got the Lakers at home tomorrow. And then you've got back-to-back home games with the Rockets. You've got, after that, it starts to take off a little bit, pardon the pun. You've got Denver. You've got back-to-back with Boston coming up. You've got the a stop in Milwaukee. So it's going to get real here in just a bit for the Suns. And I think we'll know a lot in the latter part of March. You get through that trip. You play at the Bucks on March 17th, and we'll see where they're at that point, Jackson. All right. Also, our guest today, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and you said no football. No football on the field, but we're going to get into the draft. Our good friend Bro Brock from PHNX Sports, they do a great job covering the Cardinals, and we'll take our first look at the draft with Bo coming up at 11:30. Chris Cartman from Sun Devil Source. Man, lots to talk about over at ASU. Lots to talk about. He's going to be by at 12:15. Where do you start? What's the future of Bobby Hurley and the Sun Devil basketball team? They're not. Notice we didn't mention them when we talk about on the bubble. That's usually where we find ourselves with the Sun Devils in late February. Not the case this year. What's Bobby Hurley's future? Why doesn't ASU have an athletic director? Arizona fired their athletic director and 10 days later hired a replacement. Somebody who apparently is a good fundraiser. Wow, imagine that. Out of the SEC, no less. Michael Crow has not seen fit to replace fill that open athletic director position. And I feel for the coaches. I feel for Bobby Hurley, and I really feel for Kenny Dillingham. Kenny Dillingham, he's out there coaching his ass off. You see the videos. I love his energy, his enthusiasm, the staff he's built. Anytime he gets on the media, Jackson, yeah, my team's great. We're working on this. We got these guys and whatever. And it always goes back to him kind of asking for NIL help. It's because he doesn't have an athletic director. He doesn't have any institutional support. Here's a guy trying to build a program back up, and I don't know what they're doing. I'm going to be honest. So hopefully Chris Cartman can shed some light on that. He's come by at 12:30. Casey, I haven't seen him yet today, but Casey, he can't be on vacation again, from the CAZ Sportsbook. We'll make our picks in the final segment of the show.
Yeah, to your point about the ASU, Ray Anderson resigned on November 14th. We sit here on February 24th, and they have not made a move. And there's been crucial areas in either recruiting or with the transfer portal or in times where they need NIL money. And there's been no athletic director. And to your point, Kenny Dillingham, how much longer does he go through this until he's like, I have had enough? We're starting to see that with Bobby Hurley. Maybe he's like, you know what? I'm a good coach. I think my philosophy, I think my scheme, I think everything that I'm putting into college basketball is great. And I'm not getting any show for it because I'm on the West Coast and I'm on a team being Arizona State where we don't get a lot of love. When there's the Phoenix Suns, when there's the Diamondbacks, the Arizona Cardinals, and so much pro teams around us. Why don't I go somewhere else? Why don't I pull a Chip Kelly and leave my UCLA job or leave my ASU job as a head coach and maybe take a step down and go to the Big East or go to the Big Ten? And, oh, yeah, that Ohio State job opening up. Bobby Hurley, I know right now what it seems like his record's not up to par than what you would want to see as an Ohio State candidate, but maybe he could go in and have a good interview and say, you know, I want this, this, and this, and you got the NIL money, you've got the recruits, and being Ohio State, he could go there, or maybe he goes to a school like DePaul and changes them around in the Big East. But I think for Bobby Hurley, I know he loves being a head coach, but maybe he needs that 1 year off to go be what would you call it, an offensive assistant or an assistant? Maybe he goes to his brother, Dan Hurley's school for 1 year to kind of build up his coaching resume and build him up as one of the top candidates and then take one of those jobs on the East Coast.
I don't even know if it's building up the resume. It's just to clear the head for a year. Step away from being the guy in charge, the guy taking all the bullets when things go sideways at a program, again, that there are no expectations. Let's be honest at ASU. And you mentioned an Ohio State. I don't know about that, but if you compare Ohio State, it's not a basketball powerhouse, but the resources and the support that you would have at an athletic department like Ohio State versus what you have at
with
ASU,
the fan base in Columbus.
all of it. You know, yeah. I mean, how much longer does he stick around? I don't know. We'll get into a lot of that with Chris Cartman. All right. Our soccer pick, it's not even, I always have to ask our national champion, Ryan Sirk, who's back on a run, by the way. He's got Chelsea and Liverpool tomorrow. And I was like, is that EPL? No, it's not EPL. I'm like, what is this? It's the middle of EPL season. It's the Carabao Cup, of course. You knew that, didn't you?
Oh, duh.
You jump into that.
It's a classic cup.
But our pick of the week from our national champion, Ryan Sirk, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., Chelsea and Liverpool. He's got Liverpool. He thinks Liverpool lifts the cup and wins the first trophy of the season. That's our Carabao Cup pick of the week from Ryan Sirk. And follow us on Twitter, and we will let you know how he did with that pick. We're going to step aside here. Ben, back in the day, welcome aboard. And Jackson and I out here at the CAZ Sportsbook at Casino, Arizona. We'll step aside. Be right back on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Coming up Monday at 1
Shops by Worldwide Golf. There's something that binds us all.
The last show wasn't in auto mode, and this one was, so I definitely just gave Manuch the middle finger
Club has
on accident, but whatever.
Coming up tomorrow on Rocket Manuch with Jimmy.
Conference. The Sun Devils host an incredible home schedule.
Yeah.
Teams like Ohio State, Oregon, USC, and Arizona. Season tickets are available.
That's fine. I don't care, dude.
$50, and limited seats are still available.
I'll just fight you.
Grab your seats today.
Dude, I miss you.
727.
You freaking replaced me with Shu.
Or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
Yeah, could you blame me?
Get ready for double the fun.
I got tired of getting yelled at for nonsense.
River Rewards program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone.
Oh, dude, I can't.
Excitement. Salt River Rewards.
Hey, I got declined for another job again yesterday. That was kind of fun.
Casino Arizona and Talking.
It was Dude, you don't want her.
Gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content.
Her and I are friends, dude. Trust me, she's high maintenance.
I'm an Arizona truck driver. I deliver food, medicine,
Dude, I didn't tell you this. I got approached by Bet365 to do the same thing that Lindsay's doing. Yeah, but dude, it doesn't pay anything. Like, it doesn't. I haven't accepted their offer because I'm like, dude, I don't want to give ads to everyone and then not like make any money. Like, I don't. I'll explain to you next break. It's not as cool as it sounds. Trust me. Like at all.
Back to Take the
You guys are hot.
CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome back in. Mike Gross, Jackson Groff with you from the CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona. Loop 101 in McKellips. And we had breakfast today. Good as always from the team here at the Sportsbook. They take good care of us. Come on out and see us. Jackson, coming up at 12 noon straight up, you've got the Arizona Wildcats hosting the Washington the Washington Huskies after I stumbled on that one. Losing at home to Washington State. Arizona has now lost both games this year to Washington State. Two questions for you. Number one, in your opinion, does that knock Arizona off the number one seed? And maybe have we been a little bit underestimating this Washington State basketball team this year?
You know, I think right now, no, because of what their schedule is looking like later on. They've got Washington, Arizona State, Oregon, UCLA, and USC. I think their schedule still presents themselves as a 4-loss team or 6-loss team, right now, for that West region. But I do think a team that could approach the 1 seed line that we could debate on. I know they're not a West Coast team, but how their schedule looks down the stretch, and if they do win their conference, being the SEC, is number 5 seed Tennessee. You look at their schedule; they've got home against Texas A&M, home against 14 Auburn. They go at Alabama, number 13 seed Alabama, at 20 South Carolina, and then home against 17 Kentucky. Probably one of the most grueling stretches of basketball in the country. And I think right now with Dalton Connect and what they've got offensively on the defensive side of the ball, I think this is a team that people need to keep their eye on being Tennessee. I think that's a team that would approach and kind of fight for Arizona as a number 1 seed. But look, Arizona right now, I have no problems with them. I think that game, what you look from that game, what you take away from that game is how good Washington State is. I think they're being disrespected. They were like 12.5, 13.5 point underdog when the books came out with Washington State and Arizona. But a great game, a great win for Washington State, being on the road, playing in a hostile environment, Arizona's first home loss. I think that's my biggest takeaway is how good Washington State is and how they hung in the game the entire time. And when it was all said and done, the perimeter shooting and that 4-point play really set the edge for Washington State.
Washington State, carrying the same mantle that the basketball team that the football team did, is like, hey, this is the conference. These are the teams that didn't want us to be part of the future, right? So if you needed any added motivation for a really good basketball team, and I agree with you. I think this is a team that's, because of where they play, because of kind of, they're in the shadows a lot. This is a team that I think has been underestimated. But you get a win against Arizona in Tucson. And if you recall, that game wasn't on the Pac-12 network. That was on FS1, right? And so this is national TV audience for this team. And I think that helps, raise that profile. They were number 21 last week. They've got ASU tonight in Tempe. You would expect, unless there's a huge letdown, that they pick up the next win. They are according to the sheet here at CAZ Sportsbook, Washington State 5-point favorites over the Devils. 139 is the point total on that one. So you'd expect them to pick up another one. That takes them to 22-6 and 13-4 in the Pac-12.
Let me ask you the same question then. Does Arizona fall out of that 1 seed line after that loss to Washington State? What are your thoughts about that game?
I think that, I said this last week, and I try not to be, I don't know, what's the opposite of a homer? I don't know. I just look at Arizona last year, and I see it again this year. And I want to not mix the two questions because I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting Washington State. But if you are truly a number 1 seed and you're at home, you win that game. You find a way to win that game. If you look at the rosters, the Arizona roster is better than the Washington State roster, right? Arizona just let Washington State bring that game to them on Thursday night down in Tucson. There's really no excuse for it, right? So this is not a better Washington State team coming into Tucson. Arizona, to me, they are hanging on by a thread on the number one line, if you're asking me to give you a definitive answer right now.
Yeah, and you felt like the entire game, too. Like, when is Arizona going to have that stretch and be up 6 or 7 or 8? And it was always that 2-point line, or they'd be down 5 to Washington State, and they'd come back, and then they'd lose the lead. And they never really got into the game. And I think part of that, too, is they're too heavy on Caleb Love right now. 4 of 12 from 3, 8 of 20 overall. 4 out of your 5 makes offensively from the 3-point line are Caleb Love. Right. They're not a 3-point shooting team. I do like how they're getting Ballo involved more, 16 and 11 down low. He's a guy I think that needs to get taken advantage more, especially with Washington State that had no real depth down low. I mean, they only had one center the entire game. No centers on the roster, and Ballo's the biggest guy on the court. I'm surprised you don't give more feeds to him, especially down late in the game.
Well, you give him more feeds, but I get kind of what you're saying, but I also saw Washington State wasn't afraid of him, even though they didn't have bigs. Like, they went right at him. He's a liability on the free throw line, and they went right at him, and they were blocking his shots. And, that's a surefire way, to your point, about forcing the issue onto one player. And if Ballo and others can't step up, Pella was getting blocked shot. It was just a weird game. Credit to Washington State, though.
Well, it was at 9 p.m., too. That could have been
9 p.m. for Washington State. It's not like they got to play early. I mean, I don't know. Technically, it was 8. I know they're in a different time zone right now, but you get what I'm saying. Like, look, Arizona's resume is solid. We talked about this a week ago. We're not going to go game by game. You look at the losses that they've got. I take back what I said about losing in Pullman, but you still got a loss to Oregon State. But other than that, and loss to Stanford, excuse me. But, you've got good wins in the non-conference. The only loss that you really kind of scratch your head was that Florida Atlantic game, again, because it was home.
Neutral site.
Wasn't that in Tucson?
No, it was a neutral. I remember watching it. I was watching on TV. I think it was in Las Vegas.
All right.
I'll double-check on that right now.
It's like the Purdue game, though. Purdue was a neutral site game, even though it was right in Indianapolis or something like that. But, the point is, this is an Arizona team that is too talented to let what happened on Thursday night happen. And that's the bottom line. So if I had to decide right now, they'd stay there because I can't give you a definitive replacement. I couldn't say, take Arizona off and put this team on. But they've got to tighten it up. And you mentioned their schedule the rest of the stretch. There's not a loss on there. Even against UCLA, which is probably the best team left on the schedule, you've got to win in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I mentioned Tennessee, and that's if they win these road games. You've got 2 road games at Alabama, at South Carolina. Auburn's been playing better. Again, that's if they were to go 4-1 or 5-0, they could threaten that 1 seed. But with a tough schedule, they could go 0-5 or they could go 1-4 when that's said and done. Real quick update to Houston at 11 Baylor. Closer game right now. Houston's up 44-40, 14 minutes left in the second half. How about Baylor on 15-3 run to start the second half, Gross?
And as we said at the start of the game, checking the sheet here, that Baylor was 2.5-point underdog. Houston and Baylor total at 135, according to the sheets here at Casino Arizona.
We got to talk about it. College basketball sports books and how big home court advantage is. You look at some of these games today. Duke on the road at Wake Forest. Wake Forest record 17-9. Duke, the 8th team in the country, playing hot right now. They're a 2.5-point underdog. We've seen a lot this season, more than other years, where the hottest teams in the country go on the road and don't know how to win ball games. Right now, Houston being at 11 Baylor, that's a different story. They're up early. But kind of talk about, Gross, what you've seen with these higher-ranked teams. Wow, I can't talk today. Higher-ranked teams going on the road and falling short because of that home court advantage and how pivotal it is this season in terms of sports betting and in terms of college basketball.
Well, and they all kind of intertwine with each other, and I think you're exactly right. And here's the thing. It's parity. If you had to name your truly dominant college basketball team right now? Purdue?
I'd say Houston over Purdue.
Houston, but it's not pardon the pun again, it's not a slam dunk, right?
Yeah. You'd say UConn, but they just got blown out against Creighton last week.
And somebody said, UConn's not going to lose in the Big East. And as soon as some of that came out of somebody's mouth, so I don't know. You look at it, parity, I think, is the key. So what's going to really be important is, to the extent that you can, you manage what you just said. Don't take any bad losses or whatever. and then get your resume built up, because what's going to matter is seedings and matchups once the tournament starts. And you've mentioned a couple of these Mountain West teams. I've been high on New Mexico. If you're sitting in that mid-range, you really want to see a New Mexico team that can play defense and has 3 senior guards on it. A Colorado State team if they make it. Creighton, Marquette, some of these other teams. Marquette's pretty high seed, so take them out of that. But yeah, I think seedings are really and matchups are really going to be important for these teams, because you're absolutely right. Going away from home in college basketball in 2024, no guarantee for the higher seeded teams. We're going to step aside here, switch gears on the other side. Excited to have this conversation. NFL draft is looming, and Arizona Cardinals with a lot of picks and a lot of decisions to make. And our good friend Bo Brock from PHNX Sports, he joins us next. We'll talk about it right here on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points.
You guys are clear.
Sportsbook at CAZ.
I'll call Bo in just a second.
Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
Will to win is important, but preparing to win is essential. At Crest Insurance, we understand that the road to success is not one that you go alone. Whether it's your family or business, you're not buying insurance, you're buying protection. That's why so many turn to the professionals at Crest Insurance. Our team has the experience to help you safeguard the things that matter most. It's not just an insurance policy, it's peace of mind.
Life's a sprint. Meet G2G protein bars. Grab and go fuel for the office, links, and daily grind. Score an 8-pack at Costco or explore flavors at G2GBar.com. Quick, delicious, power-packed G2G protein bars. Setting your pace.
Jenny!
Hey, Jenny!
Jenny, come on in! Steve!
Hey, Steve!
Steve, how you doing?
Meg!
Meg, nice to see you! Hey, Meg!
Arena Sports Grill. Come on out for the sports, off-track betting, incredible food, and friendly faces. The best daily specials in Scottsdale. Arena Sports Grill, 62nd Street in Bell. We know you.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. Just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard. And online at WrightToyota.com.
At Van's Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, there's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the Cobra Dark Speed Driver. Engineered with advanced aerodynamics, power bridge technology, and a large hot face for more speed and consistency. Visit us in store for a free custom fitting at Van's Golf Shops or shop us online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
A homeowner just like you.
Hey.
Decides to fix his roof.
Okay.
He backs up his truck, ties one end of the rope to the bumper and the other
Calling Bo now.
to himself.
Smart.
He's working on the backside of the roof until...
What? Wait, no.
Yes, Dad was in tow.
Ooh, was he hurt?
A few bruises and his pride.
Save yourself with State 48 Roofing, offering maintenance, repairs, and replacements. Of course, licensed, insured, and bonded. From residential to commercial. State48roofing.com.
Basketball Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade explores the lives and motivations of sports, music, and entertainment icons in his podcast, The Why with Dwayne Wade. In each episode, he delves into the inspiration behind their greatness, reflects on his own career, and goes behind the curtain to get the stories you've never heard.
How did you feel about me in 2006?
Well, there wasn't a lot of love there, I'd say.
Bo is ready.
Had a conversation to this point.
Listen to The Why with Dwayne Wade on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Joe Brown here with Accident Law Group.
Me?
People were hurt in an accident. Find us on the .com.
I'm talking about
I feel
Hey,
like.
it's Jody Ayler, host of The Drive. I know you got a busy life. You've got work calls, getting
If that hits, you will never work again.
Pulling at you all the time from all angles. Well, I would like to spend some more quality time together, and it's real easy. All you have to do is
You're gonna get our guy John Middlecoff on.
radio app. Then you can listen to my show anytime, anywhere. Podcasts of the best interviews. Choose your favorite segments, or listen to all 4 hours every day whenever you want. Just download the free.
You scared him away, man. You scared him away. One chance and you ruined it.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook
like
at
my love
CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona.
Been there. All right, you guys are out.
Sports 910.
Welcome back, Jackson Groff. Mike Gross coming to you from the CAZ Sportsbook at Casino, Arizona. So glad you could spend some of your time with us today. And as we mentioned, the NFL draft out there on the horizon, the Arizona Cardinals with a ton of draft picks and lots to work to do. And to help us break down kind of a preliminary look, a late February look at the draft, our good friend from PHNX Sports. They do a great job covering the Cardinals. It's Bo Brock. Bo, Mike, and Jackson, how are you?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Always appreciate your time. And I was listening to your podcast this week. And before we get into specific draft, but I think it's all linked up, I think a fair question as the Cardinals kind of navigate this offseason with all the decisions they have to make is what's the future of DJ Humphries with this team? Because obviously fans know he's injured. He tore that ACL. He's older. He's got a big contract. What do the Cardinals do with him, and how will that impact other moves that will have to be made?
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple answer. They're probably going to move on from DJ Humphries, but obviously there's shades of gray. He's the longest tenured Cardinal, and he's just making a large sum of money next season, and he's likely not going to be available for him. I mean, he's a guy that tore his ACL and had an MCL injury along with that, so they had to wait on the surgery. It's something that's probably going to hold him out the bulk of the season. I think if he doesn't suffer that injury, he's probably their starting left tackle going forward, and they stick with his contract. But now that he's not available, I just think the smart business move for the organization would be to move on. So I think that has them scrambling this offseason and emphasizing their top priority is that offensive line and that tackle position.
Yeah. And you, Johnny, talked about this, but then the next logical question would be you move on from DJ Humphries. How's Paris Johnson? Like, is he ready to step in, and is he ready to be the anchor of the Cardinals offensive line?
You know what? My co-host has this pretty well sourced that that the team wants to stick with Paris Johnson Jr. at the right tackle position, continue that continuity with him where he played every single snap of his rookie season at that spot. And I think this team values the right tackle position just as much as they do the left tackle position. And they're going to be out there in the free agent market looking at trade avenues and, of course, this talented deep tackle draft class to fill that void going forward. So I think they've got a couple different opportunities to get that bookend left tackle, that franchise left tackle of the future, and keep Paris Johnson Jr., trending in the right direction and being what, the Cardinals view as maybe their Lane Johnson at the right tackle spot.
Bo Brock, PHNX Cardinals, joins us here on Take the Points. And $57 million cap is a lot. And you mentioned DJ Humphries in your guys' show that if they do let him go, it'd be up to $64 million. Some people have a grasp, and you guys do a great job about what kind of approach they're going to have on the draft. How do you see them approaching in free agency? And then, again, my second question to you, their draft approach of wide receiver, tackle, defense, how does that, I guess, affect their free agency moves with that much money in the cap space?
Yeah, I think that they're going to kind of monitor the offensive line, I guess, free agent group, and it's thin. Like, I don't think that this organization views free agency as the best route to get better, and that's the smart move, right? That's what most consistently successful organizations do. They draft and develop, and that's what the Arizona Cardinals are going to be going forward with, 12 to 13 picks in the upcoming draft. They're going to have a huge chance to do that, but they're also not naive to it. Like, they have to fill out the offensive line. And I think on the left side is where they really want to improve with moving off of DJ or DJ not being available, whatever the case may be. They need to find a tackle. I don't think they're comfortable with Kelvin Beachum. I think they like him in that swing tackle backup role, but not starting potentially 17 games like he did in the 2022 season. So they're going to look at this tackle class, free agent-wise, I mean, and it's not deep. You know, you got Tyron Smith, you got Trent Brown, guys who are both over 30. You got, Awanu from New England, who's more of a right side, probably kick inside type guy. I don't know if he's a tackle that you want to invest a ton of money in. So it's pretty slim pickings as far as the free agent tackle class goes. Maybe you can improve your left guard spot. But I think they view this tackle class as elite. I really do. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah has 7 prospects in his top 20 prospects overall. So, you're sitting there at 27 potentially. You could probably have a really solid tackle fall into your lap. Maybe a Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. They've got Amarius Mims, who's kind of a raw prospect out of Georgia that I think that they would view as somebody that they could plug in and develop and have to set it and forget it as far as their tackles go for the next 4 to 5 years of Paris Johnson Jr.
So much talent at the NFL Combine. You guys have the privilege and honor to go to the NFL Combine next week. Kind of take us into what it's like covering the NFL Combine. You guys get to kind of watch the 40-yard dash and stuff like that. You guys get to interview some of those prospects. What will you guys, be doing there at the Combine?
Man, it's a little bit of everything. It's tough to explain, and people say, hey, that there's value in that because it's a mixed bag. You get out there, there's no true access except for ESPN and NFL as far as the prospects working out. But as far as the access to get to talk to these players, you get a ton of it. You get to talk to these guys, asking questions who they've interviewed as far as team-wise go, position groups, and then you get to talk to Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort next week as well for the first time really since the season ended. So you get to kind of reset, which direction this organization is going to go, and maybe ask some questions as far as, maybe the 5th-year option on Zaven Collins and start to get access for the 2024 season. So, and then there's just Indy. I mean, I don't know how I can convey this to your listeners, but like even outside of the walls of the convention center and Lucas Oil Field, you see people all around. It's just an NFL mecca for a week, and you're running into people and you're talking to them and getting some insight, and it's invaluable, really. Just one of the biggest points of the off season to really propel draft season into full effect until April 25th.
A couple more minutes with Bo Brock talking Arizona Cardinals as they prepare for obviously the Combine. You just heard Bo describing it, and then the draft that's upcoming. And I'm struck. And you're a heck of a lot closer to it than I am, but just kind of the institutional change with this Cardinals franchise relative to how the draft unfolded during the Keim regime and the short, history that we have with Monty Ossenfort. I kind of like what I'm seeing, right? You talk about Paris Johnson Jr. and he's there, whatever. But I'm looking at the number of draft picks, Bo. 13 draft picks, 2 in the first round, 4 in the top 66. We could go on and on and on. But the thing that's accompanying that with a casual observer like myself is a sense of confidence with this front office that, man, they've got all these draft picks, and I'm thinking they're going to do well with them again this year.
Yeah, I mean, if last year is any kind of indicator, and I think it is, they didn't have their full scouting staff, and they continue to tweak, their scouting just department as far as they parted ways with Drew Grigson this week, who was part of the organization for 16 years, and Monty's getting his people in place. He continues to do that. But now has been in his seat for over a calendar year. And this is a guy that is just relentless watching tape and breaking down film and making sure that the prospects match, what their productivity was or wasn't the college level. If you think about like Michael Wilson and the pick that they made in the 3rd round last year. So I think that there should be a ton of confidence. Monty Ossenfort is a guy that continues to pound the table and say, we are draft and develop first. And he's not going to just, go into the draft and say, hey, we've got a lot of picks, and we're just going to flood this team, and we're going to have the advantage of having so many picks. He's going to make sure they're the right guys. He's going to make sure that they fit the culture. They love ball, as Jonathan Gannon likes to say, and I think they're going to continue to emphasize premium positions like they did last year. I mean, if you look at the first 3 picks, they went tackle, they went pass rusher, and then they went cornerback and then added a wide receiver. But I think that they're going to do this probably the same thing again outside of maybe the 4th overall selection where I think if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there, they're going to pick him. But if not, I think they'll look for a trade down or potentially pivot to tackle and then come back and try to identify the wide receiver lean on the strength, which is another deep class at the wideout position, and try to supplement later in the draft.
So, well, we are a sports betting show, and you look at the sports books about Marvin Harrison Jr., the odds-on favorite is the Cardinals at minus 200. How confident are you that Marvin Harrison Jr. will fall down to 4? And then are you kind of, team Jaden Daniels, team Drake May in the Combine this next weekend to hope that those 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, and 3 and Marvin Harrison Jr. just falls in the Cardinals' lap?
Oh, man, yeah. I mean, that's really the key right there, the wild card Patriots, because I think you can confidently say that, the Bears are going to pivot to Caleb Williams, and then Washington's been in the quarterback just kind of market the entire offseason, and that they're going to look to get one of these 3 prospects. So they're going to have guys that they're going to have 3 guys that I think are going to really, if it's not the Patriots, the team trading up with the Patriots to select one of these 3 quarterbacks. So, yeah, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. Sometimes when you cover this team and you've been a part of the fan base,
1 minute,
you think that sometimes you don't get nice things or deserve nice things. But Marvin Harrison Jr. certainly feels like it's trending towards him being the top playmaker in this offense come next year, and that the Arizona Cardinals are just the beneficiary of quarterback-needy teams.
He's Bo Brock. Follow him on Twitter. Easy enough at Bo Brock. And he and the team at PHNX Cardinals do an amazing job covering the team. And you heard earlier they're going to be in Indianapolis for the Combine. So follow Bo, follow Johnny, follow PHNX Cardinals for great coverage coming up. Hey, Bo, thanks so much for your time on a Saturday. We'll do it again soon.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Bo Brock breaking it down for us. I've got something for you on the other side, Jackson.
Ooh.
We've got the draft coming up.
Nice team.
And 13 picks in the draft, so the Cardinals are going to do some damage there. And I got some thoughts on that real quick on the other side. But there's some guys that are due to be traded, and there's some free agents that are out there. We'll look at some odds. Where do you think they're going to end up? And are any of these guys possibilities to help the Arizona Cardinals? We'll do that next on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app. This is The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard and Rob Parker.
We all knew how tough it was to play in New England in that Patriot way under Belichick. And usually, Rob, you know this, when you get away from something for a few years, you look back fondly, especially if you had success.
With Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. Monday at 5. Tell your smart speaker to play Fox Sports 910.
Vans Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. There's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the Ping G430 Max 10K driver. Straighter flies farther with Ping's most forgiving driver ever made. The Max 10K. Come in today and test drive Ping's newest driver at Vans Golf Shops. Visit us at your local Vans Golf Shops or shop us online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player.
Stop. We're taking Kool-Aid McKinstry 4 overall.
Resort, 2 properties.
Just so we can say Kool-Aid and Buddha.
Fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley.
I only like his name.
Rewards.com.
Arizona's
and that's enough
largest
for me.
locally owned A+ BBB rated towing company is All City Towing. They're always looking.
Imagine when we can say he's drunk off the Kool-Aid when he picks off someone.
If so, head on over to allcitytowing.com/careers for more information.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. I often get asked, how can Lerner & Rowe effectively handle DUI and criminal cases when you guys are a personal injury law firm? The answer is simple. We're good at it. Lerner & Rowe Law Group is a separate law firm from Lerner & Rowe Injury Attorneys. Our criminal defense attorneys have represented thousands of clients across the state. And with our affordable payment plans, you can get the defense you need immediately. If you've been wrongly charged with a crime, time is not on your side. We're available to help you 24/7.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Hey, this is Kelly Cooper. Are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than BKD's Backyard Joint. At BKD's, we're the destination for the best food, drinks, and sports experience in the Valley. Located at the corner of Pecos and McQueen and Chandler, BKD's Backyard Joint, where every day is game day.
21 million guaranteed. So it's not too bad, right?
Conference.
The Sun Devils host an incredible
21.8 million. I think he's going to get fully guaranteed next year.
USC and Arizona. Season tickets are available starting at $150.
Yeah, he'd still get a big deal, man.
Field level. Grab your seats today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
When it comes to insurance, we don't focus on the competition. We focus on our customers.
Oh, the franchise tag is ridiculous. It's so stupid.
It's not what we do, but who we are. Now more than ever, businesses and families are turning to knowledgeable partners to provide them
is a Charger
coverages they need. We've worked hard to become
and then Blake Corum is a Cardinal Avenger.
And our clients benefit from our vision, experience, and outstanding service. Contact Crest and let our insurance professionals tell you what they see. Glad you did.
Having James games here. I'm just being honest with you.
You're off
here, and he misses 4 games. I'd rather just draft someone.
Easy to save. Visit progressive.com.
It doesn't get much better than having a job you love, working with people you love. Children. Get certified.
They have 60 million after they cut DJ Humphries.
Childcare.azccrr.com. Sponsored by the Arizona Department of Economic Security.
Yeah, after that, it'll be like 57, and then. Anyways, back to the show. Sorry, guys.
Back to take
you guys are hot.
Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Thanks again to our guy, Bo Brock, for joining us in the last segment. You know what I noticed when he was doing that whole breakdown of the Combine? He didn't invite us to go with him. That was the one thing that was missing.
Yeah, that is true.
We got to talk to the suits up in the corporate office. Maybe they'll send us there one day, Jackson. All right. We're going to build on the conversation we just had with Bo Brock. The draft coming up. Cardinals with 13 draft picks coming up in the 2024 draft. Loaded. And there's a lot at the top. They got the number 24. Excuse me, got the number 4, 27, 35, 66. 4 in the top 66. Come on. So they're going to do some damage by way of the draft. But they've got money and they've got needs, and you can't roll the dice that you're going to fill everything through that draft. I've got a list of players that are potential free agents, and we just talked about T. Higgins during the break. He's on this list, but he's been franchised, so he's off this list. So this is as of right now what we know. But guys that I'd be interested in, Jackson, your thoughts on where you think they might land, and can they help the Arizona Cardinals? Start with, and this is another good conversation we were having off air, but start with Austin Eckler, a guy that has been, I think, disrespected over the last couple of years by the Chargers. Where do you think he lands this offseason? He's a free agent. Ooh. Where do you think Austin Eckler goes? Product of Western Colorado, one of those D2 guys that burst on the NFL scene and made the most of his opportunity.
Ooh, I'm trying to think on the top of my head. Teams that he'd fit well with. Broncos, you mentioned Colorado. The Denver Broncos for cheap.
The top choice for Austin Eckler in terms of the odds that are out there, the Baltimore Ravens are a 5-1 choice. But you're right there. The Denver Broncos 7-1, right behind them. Arizona Cardinals, interesting, 16-1. Would he be a guy that could complement James Conner? He's a completely different kind of running back than James Conner is. James Conner going to stick his head in the hole. He's going to miss some games because of the way he runs, and you just got to deal with that with James Conner. But he'd be a guy, Austin Eckler, he can carry the ball, but he's nice out of the backfield, kind of a poor man's Christian McCaffrey almost.
Yeah, and I think Eckler does catch the ball out of the backfield a lot better than Conner, but I just, for the Arizona Cardinals, I think James Conner is the heart and soul of this offense and this running game. I think another running back, they've got DeMarcado, but I do think they need to get someone in the draft or maybe, sign some lower free agent like a Jerick McKinnon-style running back to kind of complement Conner.
Calvin Ridley, if he doesn't stick with the Jaguars, where does he end up? And here's a guy, you talk about what the needs are for the Cardinals. Does he fit the scheme here, what they're trying to build?
Ooh. I love Calvin Ridley. I'm a big fan of what he did with the Jaguars. I didn't think they utilized him particularly well. I wanted to see him more in the red zone, but I would say Jets would be my number one pick for one Calvin Ridley.
I think Calvin Ridley goes back to Atlanta and what they're building there if he doesn't stick with the Jaguars.
I like that fit.
Top teams there, Kansas City, the Jets right there, as you called it, the Bills. Arizona Cardinals not anticipated to be a destination for him. They come in at 33-1 on him. All right, next one. This one to me is interesting, and you'll see why in just a minute. Michael Pittman, if he doesn't stick with the Colts, where does he end up?
If he wants to get money,
Michael Pittman Jr., excuse me.
I could see Titans, Commanders.
Wow.
Those
like you do this for a living. Number 1 on the list is the Tennessee Titans, Jackson, at 4-1. But number 2, right on their heels, the Arizona Cardinals, 6-1 for one Michael Pittman Jr.
See, what I like about Michael Pittman Jr., he's not flashy. He's one of those grit guys, third down wide receivers. He'll give you a catch one-on-one on the outside, and he loves blocking too. So another perimeter blocker for one James Conner and what they want to do under center. I think Pittman would be a good guy. I don't know how much money he's valued at. I'd say probably under maybe $10 million, you think, a year would be his stock. He doesn't really give you those numbers on the stat sheet, but does a lot more on the football field.
He's not at the top of the list for sure, and I think that makes him an interesting acquisition.
Like if I had to pick between Michael Pittman Jr. or Hollywood Brown, I'd pick Michael Pittman Jr.
And Michael Pittman Jr., the reason I keep saying Jr. is because, of course, his dad had a nice little run here with the Arizona Cardinals, so there's some history there. Another guy that I think is going to be a fascinating, just to watch what happens with him, Mike Evans, if he doesn't stick with the Buccaneers. Because here's a guy, almost what you were just saying about Michael Pittman. Like, you look at it, every time you want to count the Buccaneers out, this guy's out there making a catch to keep a drive going or to score, make a score when they need it.
Mike Evans, I'm going to say I got 2 options. I'm going to go AFC. Depending on what happens with Stephon Diggs and the Buffalo Bills, I'm going to say the Bills is 1. And my second one, I'm going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got Pickens. I can see Pickens in the slot, maybe on one side, and Mike Evans on the other.
Yeah. If you look at it, the Steelers are at the top of the list. It's uncanny.
I didn't see the list before.
We did not share the list. But it's almost like you and I pay attention to each other. Also up there, the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Bears. And then there's a couple guys to trade, and we're not going to go down this entire, or that are trade acquisition, probably a better way to put it. We're not going to go down, Jackson, this entire list. I think trades in the NFL, particularly trades with guys with big salaries, are tough, right? And I'm going to just throw all these names out here, and you tell me if you're interested in any of them by way of the trade market. Alvin Kamara, Devontae Adams, or we don't want that, Stephon Diggs. Are you interested in any of those guys by way of trade, knowing what you'd have to give up to get a guy like Stephon Diggs? You've got 13 draft picks. Do you try to make that work, or is the price tag going to be too big for a veteran wide receiver?
I'd say no. I think all 3 of those are guys that, one, want to win championships now. 2, I think they're older dudes, and what the Arizona Cardinals scheme is, I think they want to go young. I think they want to build for the future. I think Alvin Kamara is injury prone. For me, that's my concern with him. Devontae Adams, I think he's still set on wants to go back with Aaron Rodgers. I think him in the Jets is the thing to look out for. And then Stephon Diggs, I think his ego is one thing. I think he always wants the football, even though he doesn't show out in big moments, does not separate well. I'm not a big fan of Stephon Diggs. I don't like what I see from the playoffs every single year. He's only scored 1 touchdown for the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, and that was in 2021. Yep. Since then, has never scored a touchdown since. Alvin Kamara, he's talented, but just cannot stay healthy. And then, like you said, Devontae Adams, I think he wants to go back with Rodgers. What about you? What do you think? With
going back to the Bills situation, it's real easy to blame the quarterback, but you got to have guys that help and bail out your quarterback and make plays. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. You could have the best quarterback out there, and if they're not making catches, and how can you put Stephon Diggs and say that you've not had a catch in the post? Because the Bills have been in the postseason. You've had your opportunities. I'm going back to the conversation we had with Bo Brock as we wrap it up this hour, Jackson. 13 picks in the first or in the 2024 draft, 2 in the first round for the Cardinals. But you and I were talking off air. What happens if somebody jumps the Cardinals and drafts Marvin Harrison in that 3 spot? I want him here. But I think it'd be fascinating to watch Monty Ossenfort and his staff react to that, because I don't think they stay at number 4 if that happens.
Yeah. Well, if someone were to trade up at 4, you wonder if there's another quarterback that would trend up being either a J.J. McCarthy or a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix Jr. or so on that could solidify that 4 spot. Because I'm looking at it just on the top of my head, Marvin Harrison Jr., number 1 non-quarterback selection. Number 2, I would say, being Brock Bowers. And the Arizona Cardinals with Trey McBride, you wouldn't think they'd get Brock Bowers there. So a tackle at 4, a little too high for me, but it would be interesting to see how they value these other wide receiver class that they would get a Neighbors or an Adunze at number 4.
You got to take them when you pick, and they're number 5, right? Do 4 quarterbacks go? That's the question.
And we learned from Detroit last year, they got Jahmyr Gibbs early at number 13 or 14, and people were kind of speculating why you select a running back that early, and it paid out for him. So if you got a guy you like at 4, I wouldn't mind the Cardinals picking up a wide receiver besides Marvin at 4 if he is selected at 3.
Because you have enough draft capital throughout the rest of the draft. All right, well, that's going to do it for hour number 1. Lot to come. Hour number 2, he's Jackson Groff. I'm Mike Gross. We're at the Casino Arizona CAZ Sportsbook. Take up to 1 o'clock today.
Nice.
Take the Points.
Stop it, guys.
Sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing.
We need Bauer.
Cooper, are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than BKD's Backyard Joint. At BKD's, we're not just a
We would have just said we were joking. I would have covered for you guys.
Drinks and sports experience in the Valley. Located at the corner of Pecos and McQueen and Chandler, get ready to score big on fun and flavor. Only at BKD's Backyard Joint, where every day is game day. Check us out online at bkdsbackyard.com.
Are you talking to me or Gross?
Yep.
Well, whenever I'm on the show with you, I just remember that it's not my show, so I try to shut up.
At Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's new.
Well, yeah, but like I don't ever like to step on you guys, especially when it's your thing.
Everyone, don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program.
No, if wait, so are you guys both on the same page of like Bauer talks a lot?
101. Discover the best in the Valley at Salt River.
I don't work with Bauer.
And help keep ozone away. Idling causes air pollution. Please turn off your vehicle when waiting in long lines like school pickups and drive-thrus. You'll save on gas.
Bro, Manuch talks a ton.
For more information, visit maricopa.gov/AQ.
Get ready.
How come there's 3 of you guys on the show? Just to make it easier to have people on every week?
Are you sitting? I'll wait. Great.
Oh, and you were the guy that they were like, yeah, throw them on.
Save up to $180 on select chairs. That's up to $180 off desk chairs. Up to $180 off computer chairs.
I want Bauer's Diamondbacks job so bad.
Chairs. So
that sounds like fun, dude.
Now for the Staples Sit-a-thon and grab a seat.
What else am I going to do? I'm 26 years old. I don't have any kids.
For details.
How come?
Calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer.
Dude, my dad is 60, Jackson. Yeah, dude, my parents are old. Oh, it's fine. I don't know. All right. What podcast did you do with him? On KGM or on KMVP? Okay. I know he was on KMVP for forever with Jarecki or something.
This is the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
Full Saturday underway. We'll top out around 80 degrees with clouds on the increase. Overnight Saturday, 57 degrees.
30.
Under gray skies. At your Sunday, a gray day as well, but a warm one. The high, 82. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Corey McCloskey.
This report is sponsored by eBay Motors. eBay Motors is here for the ride with the parts you need for the prices you want. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Take the Points is sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing.
Oh, I thought you were being serious.
Time for Arizona's only local
sports gambling show.
Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Hour number 2, Jackson Groff, Mike Gross out at the CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona. Loop 101 in McKellips. Coming up in our next segment, we visit with Chris Cartman. And got to dig into what's going on over at ASU. We've got basketball questions. We got administration. We got so many questions about what's going on at ASU. Chris Cartman up in the next segment. Jackson, give us a quick scoreboard update.
We got a close one, folks. 18 seconds left in the second half. 2 Houston versus 11 Baylor. Houston has a 1-point lead, 68-67. Woo! And I believe right now they'll be inbounding the ball, probably a free throw game with 18 seconds left. This would be a big upset for Baylor after what a tough loss last week or early this week at BYU, 25-ranked BYU. And Houston's been winning convincingly the last couple weeks.
There's a big but here, though. Sorry to interrupt your analysis.
No, you're good.
We're a sports gambling show. The line was 2.5. Houston was favored by 2.5. And, Jackson, I'm not good at math, but they're at 134, I believe, right now. The total.
135.
Now they're right on the number. 135 was the over-under when this game went off. So this you got gamblers sitting there with the ticket in their hand or looking at their phone right now, watching the final seconds of this game tick off from Waco, Texas. All right, I'm going to ask you and Ben it's kind of a non-sports question, but a lot of people know I used to do a radio show with my good friend Bertrand Berry. We did a podcast after that, hanging out. And he and I got together recently. Shout out to Bertrand Berry Jr., by the way, and a guy I know you watched. Signed. He's playing college football at Valparaiso next year.
Nice.
Congratulations to him, former Highland Hawk. But I was at Bertrand's house. We were watching the Lions and the 49ers game. And during halftime, we started talking, and he's like, "Hey, you ever get a pedicure?" I was like, "What?" He said, "You ever get a pedicure?" I said, "I've never had a pedicure. I don't like people touching my feet." He goes, "You got to do it. Self-care is important. Take care of your feet. They take care of you." So my question to you and Ben, have you ever gotten a pedicure, Jackson?
Yes.
And do you agree with Bertrand Berry?
Yes, but so my thing is I'm never going to go out and schedule a pedicure, but if I had a girlfriend or I had someone, which again, still single, if any girls out there would like to hit up my DMs, more than welcome to.
Not why we asked the question.
But to your question about the pedicure thing, yes, I would be down to have a pedicure. I think washing your feet, especially those who don't wash your feet in the shower, the shower underneath does not wash your feet. You must scrub your feet. But pedicures are a necessity. Benjamin?
I have never had a pedicure before. My wife has been trying to get me to do it for years now. I have not done it. I will not. I don't like people touching my feet. And Jackson, to answer your question, yes, soaking your feet in the water underneath you cleans it enough for me. I have never once gone down there and scrubbed my feet.
I never met Ben in person, but I'm starting to like this guy more and more because I'm right there with you, man. I'm older than the both of you. I've never had a pedicure, and I look at Bertrand. I'm like, hey, asking me this question. Like, we're just watching. It's halftime. The Lions are beating the 49ers, and that's the question you got for me? Anyway, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know why. We were talking about something during the top of the hour break that made me think of that. Random, I know, but it's our radio show. We can do what we want to do. Coming up, like I said, in the next segment, Jackson, we've got Chris Cartman talking about the Sun Devils. Obviously, ASU basketball, nothing happening there this year. You've got questions about Bobby Hurley's future that we'll get into with Chris Cartman. But I think more importantly, and Chris tweeted this out, both Arizona and Arizona State had open athletic director jobs. And Arizona fired their previous athletic director, Dave Hickey, and like within 10 days replaced her. A woman who I don't have her name in front of me, and I'm sorry, but she graduated from the University of Arizona Law School. Then she was an athletic director at UNLV. She was all over the place. And she most recently the athletic director in the SEC at the University of Missouri. Arizona hires her away from the University of Missouri. Meanwhile, in Tempe, with everything they got going on, looming an NCAA investigation, question marks about your men's basketball program, and a brand new football coach who could use a little support, who could use a little financial support in this 2024 era of NIL business. where every time he's on the radio, every time he's on TV, Coach Dillingham is talking about his kids, what they're trying to get done in spring ball, and, oh, by the way, don't forget to donate to my program. A lot of questions about what's going on in Tempe.
Yeah, and I think it's a tough situation for people to donate because they don't know what the future is of this ASU team. They want to see wins on the field. That's why I think the second year of Kenny Dillingham is going to be a big year for him. You got Jaden Rashad at quarterback. You also had Sam Levitt, the quarterback from Michigan State. But to your point, Gross, Desiree Reed Francois is the new athletic director for Arizona. They're in that whole, is it not debt situation, but they lost a ton of money.
Yeah, they got financial problems.
Financial problems there that they're looking to assist, and it being Tucson. They're Arizona Wildcats, everything there. My concern with ASU, with no athletic director in November, like you mentioned, the NIL money, the funding, as their head coach being the guy that's the leader in this. He shouldn't have to do that. And I think we're starting to get to a point where teams are going to hire a director of player personnel or a director of ops and saying, this is what you have in NIL money, this is our cap space, and go out and market because they have no AD right now. They need to have someone there because Kenny Dillingham needs to focus on winning ball games. If you're not winning ball games, folks, you're not going to be able to get NIL money. Winning ball games is definitely the precursor to getting those NIL dollars. And until we see change, and we've seen the Big Ten and SEC meet, and I don't think they're forming an alliance to join conferences and make a super conference, but I think they're joining together to say, hey, what are some rules we can make in NIL right now? Because the NCAA, they take forever to do something. Let's try to create our own organization, our own program, because I think college football just needs their own commissioner. I know Nick Saban's name's been thrown out there as a guy that's been well respected in college football, but they need rules for everybody. We don't need state rules and that Texas rules can do NIL and so versus Arkansas or versus Arizona. We need general rules for the sport. But I again, college football, the athletes deserve to be paid, but what's going on right now is definitely in the direction that we don't want to see for college sports in general.
And if you're a big time, and I use that term broadly because there's a big drop-off between the Big Ten and the SEC, particularly at college football, as you were just describing. But ASU falls into the category of big-time college athletics. And to have a guy like Kenny Dillingham, I think universally, they had a rough year record-wise, but I think everybody who's close, anybody who follows the program, anybody who knows somebody affiliated with the program, thinks Kenny Dillingham is the guy. He's the right guy to lead this program. But to see him out there without lack of support from the institution is so frustrating. So frustrating. I love when he comes on. He's on doing a spot on one of the local TVs. He's looked like he could be a student there. He's got the ASU hoodie on.
No facial hair at all. He's got the same amount of facial hair I do.
No, he's a young dude who lives and breathes football, and he's an offensive guy. And they struggled last year. I know that, but I think but it doesn't matter if you're gonna get buried in the wave of what's going on. And it was really clear what University of Arizona did. They hired a woman who can fundraise. Bottom line, because you can hire a compliance director, you can hire a facilities guy, you can hire whatever. You need to have a fundraiser at the top of the organization in big-time college athletics right now. And I know it's easier in some respects in Tucson because that's the only show in town, but it's a limited market. Phoenix is the 5th biggest market in the country. You've got alumni everywhere in this city, and they're not connected. And I know for a fact that they're not getting the checkbooks out like they do in other places. I mean, you look at the look at the contract Sarkisian just signed to Texas. Private planes and country clubs and all that. That came from boosters. That was boosters. This is a booster stepping up saying, you know what? Put my private plane, put my jet on the contract. He can have it whenever he wants it. That's what that is. And you might not like it, but that's what college football is in 2024.
I agree with you 100%. And it's going to be interesting to see how they move in the Big 12. The Big 12, there's some games that I think they can win. The Cincinnatis, the BYUs, we don't know how they're going to be next year. I think those are some big wins in a different market for ASU to show out and win, and hopefully the fan base can show out. You're going to have Kansas State. You're going to have the Kansases of the world. You're going to have Oklahoma State coming into town, and we'll see with this new roster what Kenny Dillingham can do. But I love that he said, hey, I'm not complaining. I know it's a tough environment, tough landscape right now of players wanting to beg for money. But he said, you know how many people want my job right now? I've spent 9 years as a coffee boy, he said, to get where he is. So him saying that, I think speaks to his character, speaks to his toughness, and how he won't put up with anything. And you saw the guy from, I think it was Tulsa, saying, "Oh, I want so-and-so money to pay for my girlfriend and to pay for my dogs." And he jokingly said, "Well, get rid of the dogs." And, well, I don't know about the girlfriend. But, again, Kenny Dillingham, he's meant for the moment. And I think he's going to, give hope for ASU Sun Devil fans out there. And he's just building. Again, this is year 2, guys. Year 2. We said before when he got hired that it would be a 5-year turnaround for this organization.
And I want to be really clear the way I brought it up. This is not a referendum on Kenny Dillingham.
1 minute.
I agree. He's the absolute right guy. It's a referendum on Michael Crow. Like, how serious are you about running an athletic department? That's the question.
November 14th is when Ray Anderson resigned. It's February 24th. And to your point, they have not even gotten remotely close to getting a new AD.
And Chris Cartman, who's going to join us next, in a tweet, and I'll read it as Chris comes on air, said it's going to be months. It could be months before they replace him. All right, we'll step aside here, make way for Chris Cartman. He joins us next on Fox Sports 910.
Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Coming up Monday at 1 on Rock Minucci, Jimmy B, live from the CAZ Sportsbook at Casino, Arizona. We'll break down the Suns games versus the Rockets and Lakers, and the Coyotes finally mixing a win against Winnipeg. That's Monday at 1 on Rock Minucci, Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910 and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
You may not have any experience dealing with car wrecks, but Lerner & Rowe does. After your car wreck, you need an attorney to make sure your interests, like car repairs, medical bills, and lost wages, are protected. Finding the right attorney is actually easy. Just look for reputation, experience, and results. Lerner & Rowe has thousands of 5-star reviews, decades of experience, and we've recovered billions of dollars for our injured clients. Hurt in a wreck and need a check? Call Lerner & Rowe today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Looking for a change in your career? All City Towing is searching for motivated teammates to join their team. Current openings now available in customer service, tow truck operators, yard management, facilities maintenance, and dispatch. Apply online at allcitytowing.com/careers or call 480-833-7278.
Rock for WhiteToyota.com. At Wright Toyota, they'd like you to get to know them. Their goal is to make buying your next vehicle the kind of experience that earns your recommendation to family and friends. They invite you to use all of their innovative web tools on WrightToyota.com. So if you're looking for a new or pre-owned Toyota, head to their interactive website at WrightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection, all at WrightToyota.com.
At Van's Golf Shops, there's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the all-new TaylorMade QI10 Max Driver, combining TaylorMade distance with the forgiveness of 10K inertia. Experience your drives in 10K. Visit us in-store for a free custom fitting at your local Van's Golf Shops or shop us online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. From tequila cocktails to an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls in the 29-degree drafts. Stop by any 5 Valley Twin Peaks locations today.
A will to win is important, but preparing to win is essential. At Crest Insurance, we understand that the road to success is not one that you go alone. Whether it's your family or business, you're not buying insurance, you're buying protection. That's why so many turn to the professionals at Crest Insurance. Our team has the experience to help you safeguard the things that matter most. It's not just an insurance policy, it's peace of mind.
Do you know about 211 Arizona versus anywhere in Arizona? Housing assistance and eviction prevention, transportation and ride services, healthcare benefits, food resources, and even utility bill support. Talk to a live operator in English or Spanish 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Just dial 211 or visit 211arizona.org. Get connected, get answers, and get the help you need. This message is sponsored by 211 Arizona.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Alternative Rewind, where all rock began.
Cartman's ready, guys. 20 seconds here.
R.E.M., The Cure, Depeche Mode, Pretenders, Talking Heads, and more.
Friday, I'm in love.
Just open the free iHeartRadio app.
Yes, sir.
Alternative Rewind and listen now. iHeartRadio, free never.
Yeah, I didn't want to listen to you. So you want to know something that happened? When I was talking to Chris Cartman, I turned you guys down, realized I couldn't hear you guys, and just not turned it up.
Back to take.
So that's why. But Cartman's ready.
By the Sportsbook at
Hope you weren't telling me anything important.
in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports.
How are you guys at?
Welcome back in. Rolling along here at the CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona. Mike Gross and Jackson Groff. And as promised, we jump out to the guest line. Welcome in regular contributor to the program from SunDevilSource.com. It's Chris Cartman. Hey, Chris, Mike and Jackson, how are you?
Doing great. Glad to be with you guys.
I always appreciate your time here on a Saturday. We were talking about the athletic director situation at Arizona and read your tweet on air that you sent 5 days ago saying that you thought, hey, given Arizona's financial problems, this looks like it might be a decent hire for them when they hired Desiree Reed-Francois away from the University of Missouri. That was cool. But part two of your text left me scratching my head, where you said ASU is still months out from a hire in all likelihood. And we checked the date. Ray Anderson was stepped down or relieved of his duties, whatever happened, mid-November. And here we are in late February, and that's still the status of the athletic director position for the Sun Devils. Give us some details and why did you tweet out that it could be months out still until a replacement is named?
Yeah, so I let my audience know, the membership audience, some of the source know, that the situation at ASU was so disorganized in the wake of Ray Anderson's departure in terms of the budgets and the organizational understanding of what was going on with the financials, that it's basically something that Jim Lund, the interim athletic director at ASU, who has a background in dealing with those sorts of things on the academic side at ASU University, is really working to clean up to try to get some clarity about a lot of these details. And then on top of that, probably even more importantly, is ASU feels like it will have a much better ability to attract better candidates once it's on the other side of the NCAA infractions case, which is it's nearing a resolution fairly shortly. It's hard for me to put an actual timetable on it because you got a lot of lawyers involved and you're going through, crossing the T's and dotting the I's of all of that. But that's going to happen within the next month or two. And so it's a combination of trying to get that in the rearview mirror and also having a lot of their economic, situation be more modernized and more sort of clearly articulated to whoever their candidates are. They didn't want to try to jump the gun on that.
The NCAA infraction piece makes a lot of sense the way you described it, Chris. The other side of that, though, the financial, uncertainty, I'll use for lack of a better term for me anyway. Arizona got a ton of credit for acting decisively and bringing somebody in with fundraising experience because their reports, their financial situation is an absolute mess. And the thought being there that, getting somebody in there that could immediately start fundraising and chipping away at whatever the issues are was a paramount importance and important to the administration. What do you get? What's this? I don't know that anybody knows for sure, but what's Michael Crow? What's he thinking here? He's the boss. He's the CEO. He's in charge of all this. He was obviously very close to Ray Anderson, but this is, I got to be honest, this is I'm not disagreeing, Chris, with anything that you said, but this is concerning.
Yeah, so look, the difference I think between Arizona and ASU is Arizona had already gone through a month-long process, if not a longer process, a year maybe or more, to try to be able to articulate exactly what all of its financial challenges were very specifically to the border region, whereas ASU didn't have that same sort of financial problem, hadn't Mexico never expressed any need to cut sports or to reduce what their budgets were in any kind of a way. There's also this process that's going on at ASU to bring in a lot of the athletics thing in terms of how they work with debt, how they basically get projects done. And a lot of their major infrastructure projects are being going through a transition to help to underwrite those things in a different manner to make them easier and more streamlined. So and then on top of that, you have King Dillingham, who's already hired Bobby Hurley. A lot of people are unhappy with him, but he signed a contract extension less than a year ago. He's not going to go anywhere, even if they added a new AP. Willie Bloomquist is on solid footing. So the fundraising piece, totally agree with that. ASU needs a lot of work in that regard, but they didn't feel like, from what I understand, that Crow needed somebody on the ball right now to try to help make these big changes with ASU's revenue sports. And when you factor in what I said about the NCAA piece, there just was a decision that they wanted to take their time and be more patient about it. Not saying that's the right move. I mean, maybe that's the wrong move, but that's the way that this is shaking out for ASU.
Chris Cartman, SunDevilSource.com, joins us here on Take the Points, Fox Sports 910. I want to transition, Chris, to college basketball. ASU a tough loss the other night, 84-82 against Washington. Bounce back game tonight against 21 Washington State. What do you make of this season for the Arizona State Sun Devils? What do you make of Bobby Hurley? As you said, not a lot of fans happy with the extension happening and what's going on with Arizona State. Is this more a roster issue you're seeing from Arizona State or a Bobby Hurley issue? Just your overall thoughts on the Sun Devils.
Yeah, so the reality is you have to be able to retain the best players on your roster, and Bobby Hurley wasn't able to do that after an NCAA tournament season. Lost DJ Horn, Devin Cambridge, Warren Washington, and NIL was a major factor for all three of them, or at least Cambridge and Washington. And the reality is ASU is moving into a Big 12 conference that dramatically outspends the Pac-12 from an NIL standpoint, and so that's where you need a head coach and or your administration and athletic director to be a lot more involved and proactive at trying to raise the money that's going to be able to take care of your roster. And that didn't happen. And Hurley has done a very active job in the last couple of years at adding transfer portal players, rebuilt his roster as much, if not more, than any season this year. But then you had some injuries, illnesses, you had guys that didn't gel in eligibility, that, Adam Miller. And so I think that coupled with this new dynamic where, people are trying to validate their worth so they can get more money from an NIL standpoint, it makes for culture challenges. And the talent is not bad, but it's also not good enough, particularly from a shooting standpoint on the offensive side, to overcome all of this. And that's the most disappointing thing about Hurley is he has such great name ID and awareness, but he wasn't able to parlay that in terms of an awareness of understanding. I might lose some of these players that have done a good job at adding, and I have to work harder to hobnob with boosters, connect with people that can help me to boost where we're at with the finance piece. And he said in recent weeks that he knows that needs to be a priority, but they're in the situation because it wasn't done to the degree that it needed to be.
A couple more minutes with Chris Cartman from Sun Devil Source talking ASU athletics this afternoon. And one of the things that I've been, you talk about some of these issues that we've discussed, but Coach Dillingham, like he's out there in the media, he's out there. He was on one of the other stations this week, and they put the video stream out. Looks like he's a kid. He's got the ASU hoodie on. He's just, and it seems like he's nonplussed by all these other things we're talking about, just focused solely on building this football team, bringing it back to respectability. What's the plan? What's the goal? And for this spring for them? And am I on my mark with kind of where Coach Dillingham is in this offseason?
Totally agree with you. Ultimately, he's young, he's hungry, he's ambitious. Even though he's making a lot of money, he wants to accomplish so much. And I just think that the college landscape evolved so rapidly in recent years that it takes a deep element to really, the energy and the understanding of where it's going, to be able to keep up with that and try to stay ahead of that. And
1 minute.
He did a really great job of taking a program that it was a rudderless ship. Ray Anderson did a really poor job with boosters. They weren't driving money through their NIL program. And Dillingham has taken that on very aggressively. I heard that there was a meeting after the end of last season, early December maybe, that one 15-20-minute speech led to a $1.2 million commitment in NIL to the Financial Collective. And now ASU is at least operating from a decent standpoint. It's not at an advantage relative to its peers in the Big 12 and certainly not comparable to the SEC or the Big 10. But now they're able to put together a transfer portal class that's at least competitive, and it's a top 20-ish class in the country in that regard. And I think that he's going to continue to move the needle on that, which means to supplement that with an AD who's going to work in kind with him to be able to continue to think creatively about how you add additional buckets of revenue to what you're doing from an NIL standpoint. And if ASU can make that move, I think Dillingham has a lot of attributes that project well over the next several years.
Chris Cartman does a great job covering the Devils for Sun Devil Source. Chris, always appreciate your time. We'll check in during spring practice, and we'll focus on our time completely on the football team on that visit. Chris, thanks so much again.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Appreciate it.
Chris Cartman, appreciate his time. A lot to unpack and digest there, Jackson.
So knowledgeable about what's going on with the Sun Devils right now. I was just sitting back listening to them and what they have. I mean, it's not a good thing right now going on with ASU athletics. Your top two sports, football and basketball. I mean, you hear a common theme of NIL for both. NIL for college basketball and all those players that they lost. And then for football side, Kenny Dillingham's hungry. How long will it take, though, for Kenny Dillingham to keep doing this and Michael Crow sitting back on his hands and, sitting back and not doing anything? Does Kenny Dillingham say, you know what? I'm going to do what Bobby Hurley's thinking about doing and leaving, maybe taking a step back, a lower, maybe an offense coordinator job somewhere. Again, I don't think he's going to leave. Again, me saying this is just all hypothetical, folks listening. But at one point, does he kind of, say, I've had enough. I've done all I could, and I don't have a guy, a Michael Crow, that's helping me out and getting NIL money.
100%.
Like, how long does he have? I don't know.
Appreciate Chris Cartman, as always. We'll step aside here. More to come right here on Fox Sports 910.
Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Choosing the right lawyer after a car wreck is important. You need to consider the law firm's experience, results, and reputation. Lerner Rowe stands above other law firms when it comes to experience and results, helping over 150,000 people recover billions of dollars for their injuries. When it comes to reputation,
no, I'm supposed to get one, though.
5-star reviews, and year after year,
I'll be going.
have been voted best personal injury law firm in Arizona. Call us today and let us put our experience,
we're not going to Radio Row
and reputation to work for you.
But we're going to.
Call 977.
Well, we are going to Radio Row.
If you haven't tried G2G protein bars, today is the day.
We're not going to Radio Row.
In your local Costco's refrigerated section or online at g2gbar.com. Incredible taste and packed with protein. They are perfect for your on-the-go lifestyle. Check them out today.
Catch Sun Devil baseball for the final season in the Pac-12 Conference. The Sun Devils host an incredible home schedule that features teams like Ohio State, Oregon, USC, and Arizona. Season tickets are available starting at $150, and limited seats are still available at the field level. Grab your seats today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
Arizona's headquarters for Toyotas is Wright Toyota. Hey, rock for my friends at Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. you will always find the right deal at Wright Toyota. Wright Toyota has been driving Arizona's home for years with their amazing service, pricing, and great selections. I encourage you to discover the difference at Wright Toyota. Make the right choice, Wright Toyota, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and always online at WrightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection. Check out WrightToyota.com.
When it comes to insurance, we don't focus on the competition. We focus on our customers. At Crest Insurance Group, customer service is not what we do, but who we are. Now more than ever, businesses and families are turning to knowledgeable partners to help provide them with the insurance coverages they need. We've worked hard to become one of the country's top independent agencies, and our clients benefit from our vision, experience, and outstanding service. Contact Crest and let our insurance professionals tell you what they see. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, this is Kelly Cooper. Are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than BKD's Backyard Joint. At BKD's, we're the destination for the best food, drinks, and sports experience in the Valley. Located at the corner of Pecos and McQueen and Chandler, BKD's Backyard Joint, where every day is game day.
Why don't you get them all cut, buddy?
Double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program.
What were you talking about before when I wasn't listening to you?
The Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something.
I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm supposed to be getting one. Apparently the Final Four is like nothing like Super Bowl Radio Row, so I don't think there's going to be a ton of people there.
One amazing club offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley.
I was kind of hoping there'd be like more people, but not more people in the Super Bowl, but like, I don't know.
The motivations of sports, music, and entertainment icons in his podcast, The Why with Dwayne Wade.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm tired, man. I'm so tired.
Reflects on his own career and goes you've never heard.
How did you feel? I think this is like my 62nd hour working this week. I'm just tired.
We've never had a conversation to this point.
Listen to The Why with Dwayne Wade on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This week's Marketers Report, we hear about the importance of local radio from Allison Griffin, head of marketing.
Are we doing Casey or no?
iHeart has such a broad broadcast reach that is local, and for us to be able to touch customers with a local feel but at a national scale.
Are we going to play the liner lock of the day or not?
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, trusted influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports.
You guys are hot.
Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Thanks again to Chris Cartman. Appreciate his time in our last segment. Man, we need a whole show just to kind of recap and revisit everything he said. So we'll let that stew and maybe come back to it another time. But is that game in Baylor at Baylor and Waco, is that over yet?
It is over. To Houston, won in overtime, 82-76. So they not only cover, but the over hit we talked about earlier before the Chris Cartman interview, how it was at 135. The total ended up being at 158. So how about Houston and the over? Both those, Houston -2 and the over hitting there. We got a bunch of top 25 games going on right now, Gross. But we'll start out with the four Arizona Wildcats home against Washington. They're up 31-19, 10 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question that we had was how would they respond after that disappointing loss Thursday night to Wazoo? I think you have your answer early, 31-19, as you said, Jackson. The Wildcats went off as 60.5-point favorites, and the point total on that one is 166.5. So Las Vegas, anyways, expecting the ball to move up and down the court pretty well. And Arizona doing their part right now.
Yeah, and I think Caleb Love was listening to the show before, how I said they lean too much on Caleb Love. Well, he's 4 of 4, 3 of 3 from three-pointer, 13 points, almost as many points as Washington scored here early in the first half. So Caleb Love, have yourself a day. Some other score updates for you. 24 Florida against Vanderbilt. They're up 65-49. 6 Iowa State at home against West Virginia. They're up 24-21. So closer game than expected, but anytime you play West Virginia well coached, press Virginia, going to be a tight game there. 8 Duke on the road at Wake Forest. They're up 25-22, 7 minutes left in the first half. And then lastly, 25 BYU at Kansas State. They're down 4, 7 minutes left in the first half. But Gross, I throw to you. We're looking at kind of the back end of the slate of games in the top 25. I know you love the Mountain West, but I think one of the games I'm looking forward to watching is 13 Alabama at 17 Kentucky. You talk about seeding for the SEC. This is a big game for both teams. Kentucky lost a close one the other night against LSU. And Alabama, what do we make of this Alabama team? They play a whole lot of offense. They got a lot of offensive players, but the last couple games, 93, 75, 92, and 81, they don't play a whole lot of defense. And I think in the tournament for Alabama, you got to be able to play defense and limit turnovers.
No, I think you're right. And it's kind of interesting, that whole – I don't want to call it a shift because Kentucky's still in the conversation, but kind of the focus of the SEC basketball, right? You talk about Alabama, Auburn's in the conversation. But interesting game today. And if you stay tuned, that might be one of the games that we look at in our picks of the week.
Also, like Texas at 9 Kansas. Texas is a really good team. 17-9, 6-7 in the Big 12, and I think it's a test to how great the Big 12 is, which I'm looking forward to seeing them getting 8 to 9 teams in the tournament and how those teams do respectively as an 8 or 9 seed against some of those top teams being Purdue. But Kansas, another team, they've been playing well all year. They've got a great starting 5, but no depth. Another home test against Texas, who's trying to win out and who's trying to kind of, I guess, there some bracketology people has them as a bubble team. Some has them as an 8-9 seed. Maybe try to bump themselves up into one of those top 7 seeds in the tournament.
Texas in their final run in the Big 12. They're 8.5-point underdogs in Lawrence today. Jackson, point total on that one sits at 144.5. But I think you're right. It's crunch time. And
they've got a talented roster. It's just a matter of getting those wins in conference.
Well, and it's interesting. You mentioned Kansas and the lack of depth. The starting 5. I don't want to say you'd match it up against anybody, but it's Kansas basketball. But is your game plan to see if you can get into some kind of a physical kind of back and forth where you maybe bench some of those starters with foul concerns. I don't know if that's necessarily Texas's game. If we were talking about Houston, that could actually, that might be your game plan. But interesting to see how Texas approaches this one. But Las Vegas, like we said, thinks that Kansas 8.5-point better than the Longhorns. That game ticks off at 4:00 here in Arizona.
I'm really looking forward to seeing, again, 3 weeks away from the bracket. Is this the most wide open year of college basketball that you can remember?
It goes back to what we talked about in our opening hour, Jackson. When you look at college basketball, the parity to me is among the biggest topics, right? You look at, I don't think there's any debate when you see the bracketologists or the NCAA when they release their top 16. Purdue's always number 1. Purdue's always your number 1 seed, no matter who's doing it. But do you look at this Purdue Boilermakers team and look at their history in this tournament and say, oh my God, I don't want any part of Purdue. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, they're good. I don't think the Big Ten is as good as it has been in years past. I think teams after Purdue, it's I hate to use the term average, but it's not a great Big Ten lineup this year. So I think the storyline in college basketball as March Madness approaches is parity. I think that's it. So take that for whatever it means. If you get hot and you've got a little bit of experience, it wouldn't surprise me to see some of these teams outside that first 16 do some damage this year.
So the Big Ten standings follow as Purdue as the 1. Right now they're 13-3. Illinois 10-5. Northwestern 10-6. Wisconsin 10-6. Nebraska 9-7. Nebraska's been looking decent recently, and then you got Michigan State 9-7. And whenever Michigan State makes the tournament, you've got to, they're with Tom Izzo. It's always January, February, Izzo's month. Being March, you always got to play in a factor of Michigan State, and they're one of those teams. Beginning of the season, they were ranked as a top 20, top 15 team, and they lost to James Madison the first week of the season, and everyone was like, whoa, what's this Michigan State going to be? What's this Michigan State team going to be this year? But to your point, the Big Ten kind of a low year, and Purdue, you wanna favor Purdue because their guard plays so much better, and Dak Edey's gotten so much better. But it's Purdue in the tournament. You can't. In the back of your head, they always lose in the first or second round and get upset.
Northwestern. You literally said among the Big Ten leaders is Northwestern. That makes the point. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know what else to say. No, honestly. No, it's an average Big Ten. And so going back to the point around, you look at this and say, look, yeah, Purdue's fine. They're going to be a number 1 seed, but I don't know that you go back to some of the all-time great college basketball teams or go into these tournaments that we've had in recent past where it's like it's a very top-heavy, look out for those ones and twos. I don't think that's the case this year. You look at a team like the Houston Cougars, a team that we were talking about earlier. They came away with that overtime win at Waco today over Baylor. That's a good team, but they are a team that will take you out of your game. That's the thing I like about the Houston Cougars. They're a very physical basketball team, and they're not afraid to mix it up and bang down there. And, how do you respond to that, right? We've talked a lot about some of these mid-majors. Look out for teams that have senior-laden rosters, particularly senior guards, and maybe that's where you make your decision when you're filling out your bracket or maybe make some wagers on games. I think it's going to be a fascinating tournament. I'm so excited. And then it culminates right here in our own backyard.
Yep.
In Glendale at the stadium. That Saturday, I think, is going to be remarkable basketball. Whoever ends up there, because nobody's got an easy path. Look at some of the brackets that are out there right now. You don't look at it and say, well, here's an easy path. Oh, my goodness. They had to play Marquette and Utah State on their way to the – I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the 8-9 matchups against the one seed in the second round, you're going to look at it and say, you're telling me a Utah State against Houston wouldn't be a good matchup, or a Texas Boise State against Arizona wouldn't be a good matchup, or hey, Purdue, how about playing Oklahoma or New Mexico, a team you're high on in the second round? And then for UConn, FAU, you're telling me FAU right now, not having the great regular season, but what they did in the tournament last year, returning their starting five and their depth from last year. Yeah. If you're UConn, FAU in the second round is not going to be it's not going to be an easy opponent. FAU or TCU, who took Texas Tech almost to overtime and played them well the other night. But a lot of parity in college basketball, and that's what we're all for here.
And the great thing about this year's tournament is trying to decide who's going to be this year's Miami, who's going to be this year's FAU. Because FAU, in a lot of regards, is running on their reputation from last year. Right? So who's that going to be this year? And we won't know until it actually happens, but that's why we love this tournament so much. 36-21, Arizona over the Washington Huskies with about 7.5 to go in the first half as Arizona looks to wash away that loss the other night to Washington State. We'll step aside here. On the side, we make our picks. Our pick.
Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Check this out.
This is The Herd.
You're excited. I'm excited.
With Colin Cowherd.
Caitlin Clark, Iowa Star, broke the NCAA women's hoop scoring record. She's the biggest star in college basketball, men's and women's.
Gross, don't listen to him. I was first when I was on the show.
Miami-Boston Celtic game about 3 weeks ago.
But now I'm not on the show, so Jackson's definitely first.
She's now familiar.
This is The Herd. Monday at 10. Tell your smart speaker to play Fox Sports 910.
A will to win is important, but preparing to win is essential. At Crest
Feels like 3 years.
We understand that the road to success is not one that you go alone. Whether it's your family or business, you're not buying insurance, you're buying protection. That's why so many turn to the professionals at Crest Insurance. Our team has the experience to help you safeguard the things that matter most. It's not just an insurance policy, it's peace of mind.
Arizona's largest locally owned A-plus BBB rated towing company is All City Towing. They're always looking to add motivated and competitive team members. Do you fit the bill? If so, head on over to allcitytowing.com/careers for more information.
Hey, so what's the cue here for this liner?
By Worldwide Golf. There's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the new Callaway AI Smoke Driver. The new AI Design Club has multiple sweet spots across the face, making it an average.
And I'll say, yes, I am.
Prior model. Visit us in store for a free custom fitting at your local Vans Golf shops or shop us.
Yawn! I'm ready to go home.
WorldwideGolf.com. Get there.
Year after year, Lerner Rowe is voted best personal injury law firm in Arizona.
We're doing without a producer.
It's quite simple. Lerner Rowe is so popular because we give every client excellent service and a superior.
No, we're not doing that show today. Let's go.
Results.
I'm out at 1 today.
Dollars for our clients with over
Wager Changers is the weirdest radio show I've ever been a part of.
lines are always open, and our legal team.
They will legit just not talk for 20 seconds.
771-900.
Catch Sun Devil Baseball for the final season in the Pac-12 Conference. The Sun Devils host an incredible home schedule that features teams like Ohio State, Oregon, USC, and Arizona. Season tickets are available starting at $150, and limited seats are still available at the field level. Grab your seats today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the scenic views stick around after the sun sets, and your favorite cocktails keep you company long after overtime. Where else can you unwind with bourbon and late-night bites? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement.
Not a chance they stay here.
The Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
For more information about contests on this station, go to foxsports910.com/rules.
Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's
I have no idea why they're still.
progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
It's time for Take the Points to give you their locks for the weekend. Live from the CAZ Sports.
Didn't mean to play that.
Arizona. Okay, gambling.
I'm an idiot.
What are your
We'll
locks?
start out with it.
By the way, you better be gambling responsibly.
All right, Gross. Let's start out with our locks of the weekend.
Let's do
to
it.
recap our records, Gross is in the lead right now, 16-5.
What's that?
16-5. Bowers 12-7. I'm 12-9. And Casey, who's not here right now, 11-8. So, without further ado, Gross, what's your lock of the
We're
weekend?
going back to the NHL. We've had some success there recently, and you look at some of the numbers that are out there. I love this game tonight in Denver, the Maple Leafs and the Avs. I like the goal total. It sits at 6.5. I think Austin Matthews might get that himself.
Scottsdale native.
Seriously, take the over 6.5 tonight between the Avs and the Leafs. That's my lock of the week, Jackson.
I like it. I'm going to go to college basketball. Give me UConn minus 11.5. I know the spread is big, but they're at home. Faced a tough loss the other night at Creighton. They've got Villanova coming into town. I think UConn wins big. They had college game day earlier today. 6 p.m. night game at UConn. I like them to cover 11.5. Let's get to our picks. Sponsored by the Casino Arizona CAZ Sportsbook. It is packed in here, Gross. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 college basketball games on right now, and I'm sure they could get about 25 to 26. Where would you, if you were to come into CAZ Sportsbook right now, are you a guy that sits near the sportsbook? Are you by the bar? Or you get your own table and kind of, you've got the drinks here, you got the breakfast menu?
I'm taking my table on the far side over by the windows looking outside because you got TVs over there, a little less foot traffic back and forth.
It's nice out.
Or, Jackson, if I'm an Arizona Wildcats fan driving around looking for a place to watch the second half of the game, I come in here into the sportsbook and I ask to sit in the tables right in front of where we are right now. Number one, we'll stop talking in about 10 minutes and get out of your hair so you can watch the game. They've got the Wildcat-Washington game on the big screen, the projector. So you can have this area to yourself as you focus on the second half of this Arizona-Washington game as Arizona leads 44-31 with about 3 minutes to go in the first half.
Speaking of Wildcats, let's start out with our first game. 13 Alabama on the road at 17 Kentucky. Kentucky favored by 2.5 points. Over-under total sits at 175.5. A big total there, Mike Gross. What are you leaning on this one?
You're really high on this Alabama team, I think, at least based on some of the conversations you have. But I go back to what you said before. I listen to Marco when he makes good points about wagering, and Jackson, you've been making some good points lately. It's hard to go on the road in college basketball and win. And Lexington is one of those places that it's hard to go to. Kentucky's a 2.5-point favorite. I don't mind that. I'm going to lay those points. Give me Kentucky at home today. Number 17, Kentucky over number 13, Alabama.
I'm going to go Kentucky as well. I love Alabama's offensively. I think they can score a lot of points. The 175.5 proves that both teams can score, but it being home, it being Calipari, them just losing a tough one at the buzzer at LSU, I like Kentucky in this one. And if you need a name to remember and a guy to watch out for as you look for your bracket in March Madness, Rob Dillingham from Kentucky can do it all. He had a great game against LSU. I look for him to have another one against Alabama. 21 Washington State at Arizona State. Washington State is a 5.5-point favorite. The over-under total sits at 138.5. And Gross, this line seems low for me after them just beating Arizona. I like Washington State minus 5.5 easily at ASU.
I thought the exact same thing when we were setting this up this morning. Looking at the line, I expected a double-digit line. The way Washington State played in Tucson on Thursday night and the way Arizona State has been struggling, to me, this felt like maybe a 10.5-point line. And so when I logged on and I saw 5.5, I immediately said, yeah, I love this Washington State laying 5.5. The more I think about it, it's maybe a little bit of a letdown game potentially for Washington State. They came to Arizona. They got the game maybe that they didn't expect. I think maybe the coaches aren't going to say this up front, but you make this trip expecting a split if you're Washington State. So you're playing with house money right now. Maybe they take the foot off the accelerator and struggle a little bit, so that's maybe where it comes. Nonetheless, 5.5 doesn't worry me. Washington State is my pick as well. Real quickly, just to catch up, we didn't give Bauer's picks. Bauer likes Kentucky, and Bauer likes Washington State as well.
In Washington State's last 12 games, they are 10-2 against the spread. Fun little nugget for you, Gross, about Washington State. And lastly, I'll let you say our last game because we're going soccer route, courtesy of one Ryan Sirk, our national champion.
Our national champion gave us his lock of the week earlier for a match tomorrow, 8 a.m. Arizona time, if memory serves. And it's Chelsea and Liverpool. They're playing for some cup, and I can't remember what it was called. That's terrible radio. But nonetheless, Chelsea-Liverpool is the match that we're looking at. Not a game, Jackson. It's a match. And Chelsea is plus 130 versus Liverpool minus 154. My pick is Liverpool in this one. I just do what I do when Marco's on. I follow the advice of our expert, and Ryan is all in there on Liverpool, so why not? Bauer likes the under. He doesn't even know what it is, but he likes the under in that match.
I agree. I'm going to go Liverpool, and I forgot when we set our locks to throw it to our guy Ben in the studio. Ben, do you have a lock for the weekend?
I'm going to go ahead and take the Knicks plus 6.5 at home against the Celtics. Jason Tatum, notable big game choker. Like the way the Knicks are cruising right now, so I'll take them.
There you go.
Wow.
Notable get big.
Wow.
Don't ever.
Hey, this is just what the facts say. I'm sorry.
Don't ever get on the wrong side of that one. All right, Jackson, you, my friend, are an infamous parlay player. Like, what do you got going right now? Don't tell me all the teams. What's the number of teams in your parlay right now?
We have a 14-leg parlay that's looking great right now. We also have a 2-leg parlay with Houston and Duke that's looking good. Duke's up 38-34. And we have a 9-leg parlay right now that are all looking favorable. So, do
you let these big parlays, do you let them play all the way out? Or if they're starting to hit early, do you cash out just to...
See, that's where I hate when FanDuel or the DraftKings of the world do those cash-out options because they are tempting, especially when you do those, the $5 to win 1,000 or $5 to win the 200. They kind of know, hey, you're going to hit that parlay and cash out. That's what I know my parlay is going to hit is when FanDuel, DraftKings, or whoever tempts me with that cash out. But, hey, you got to play the game, man. One of them's going to eventually hit. You never know when it will, and that's why you sports gamble. But it's low risk, high reward.
A guy that we got to get on the show here. We've tried him before. Ben Fox covers sports gambling, and he put this tweet out, and I thought of you when I saw it. And I get it, but I'm just reading this as a cautionary tale, Jackson. New Jersey Sportsbook won a record $170.8 million from a $172 billion wagered in January. But, Jackson, here's the key. 67% of that revenue, over $115 million, came from parlays. They came from parlays. Winning from football, 0.3% of their winnings. Winning from parlays, 16.2%. Parlays are fun, Jackson, but the cautionary tale here is be careful with your parlays. That's from Ben Fox. He covers sports betting for places like ESPN and VSIN Live. So it's just a cautionary tale. I know you like to live dangerously. 9-leg parlays,
They're so fun.
Are there any Big Sky teams in today's parlay?
No Big Sky. Only going Power 5 there. Going heavy favorites. We got Arizona right now. We've got Duke. We got Houston earlier.
There we go.
But you got to love parlays, especially college basketball, and there's a lot on it on the Saturday.
All right, as we wrap it up today, you will be on assignment next week. Where are you headed?
I'm going to North Carolina to visit my sister and my nephew, but I will be at the Duke-Virginia game. I'm excited to see Duke in person. Virginia, they've got a good game today against North Carolina. I've never been to Cameron Indoor.
We expect lots of pictures. I won't make rock like rock. You don't have to call us, but I just want lots of pictures.
Fair enough.
So, you can do what you want, but we need to see pictures, and we'll tweet them out on your behalf. Have a great trip. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks. Thanks to Ben back in studio today. Did a marvelous job. Appreciate you, Ben. Appreciate Power wherever he is. He'll be back in this chair next week with me as we've try to hold it down without Jackson. Don't forget,